So people keep asking me which protein powder I use. The honest answer is I do not use only one. I rotate several based on what I need, how I plan to use them, and what the label tells me. And when I see a good promising new product, I often buy it to try it so I can recommend to my clients, because I like to recommend stuff that I try myself first. So first, let's get this straight. Protein powder does not replace real food in my diet. I do not use it every day. I use it actually to fill gaps, support a busy day, around a workout, pre or post, travel with and add more protein to a recipe. It's great for that. I also keep it around the, at least a serving in my car for food emergencies. That's for real, right? We need that. So when I choose a protein powder, I look for a brand that provides and discloses, the 9 essential amino acids. I look for products with at least 2 grams of leucine per serving. So 2 is a useful starting point that I want to keep you in mind, but 2.5 to 3 might actually be stronger. It might be best, for muscle building signal, especially as we get older and when the protein comes primarily from plants. So there is currently no established separate leucine requirement for men and women. So the age, the total protein, the exercise, the protein quality, and the complete amino acid profile appear to matter most here. So let's focus on that. So let's get back to that leucine. So think of leucine as the doorbell that tells your muscles, hey, the building materials are here. Start repairing and building. But ringing the doorbell is not enough. Okay? Your body still needs all 9 essential amino acids to do what? The construction. That is especially important for people who eat primarily plant-based diets. That is why I prefer brands that disclose the full amino acid profile, not only the total protein or BCAAs, which are brain chain amino acids, and they are important, but there are only 3 amino acids there. So leucine, going back to that, helps activate muscle protein synthesis. But leucine alone cannot build or protect muscle. So a 2026 study gave younger and older adults 5 grams of supplemental leucine each, with each meal. So they got 15 grams a day, 3 meals. But it still did not prevent the decline in daily muscle protein synthesis or muscle size when one leg was immobilized. They do a lot of studies like that, immobilize a leg. So that does not mean leucine is unimportant. That's not it. It shows that isolated leucine cannot replace a complete amino acid profile or the muscle building signal created by ding, 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 resistant starch. Yes, my friend. Yes, build some muscles. Go to the gym, lift heavy shit. This is also a good example, by the way, of what I do with my clients. I mean, they do not have to spend hours researching, the ingredients, the supplements, the products, or study on their own. As a functional health coach and practitioner, I help them actually connect that science, with the symptoms that they have, with the advanced labs that we might be doing together, the health data, the goals, the lifestyle, so they can spend less time sorting through, conflicting information, a lot of information, and spend more time implementing what can help them actually feel and perform better. That's my goal as your coach. So going back over here, one example here I want to mention is protein blends also illustrate an important nutrition principle. Different foods provide different amino acids, fibers, micronutrients, macronutrients, plant components to the table. Okay, that's it. A diverse diet can help cover more nutritional bases and support a more diverse gut microbiome. Yes, gut microbiome. That diversity should be built gradually though, right? So if someone currently tolerates only a small number of foods, suddenly piling on dozens of plants may cause some significant problems, okay? And symptoms, obviously. You know, the goal here is not endless restriction and is not forcing foods aggressively. It is to expand variety, you know, carefully and investigate the persistent digestive problems rather than simply avoid, you know, more and more foods, which, God, drives me insane. You know, with that in mind, let me show you why I keep each of these protein powders, about 6 in my rotation. Okay, let's start with the most complete over here. That is a meal replacement type, cassava. Okay, look at this list over here, long list. Okay, that is more like all-in-one nutritional shake with protein, fibers, carbs, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, you know, minerals, greens, fruits, seeds, mushrooms, and a lot more functional ingredients. So this guy over here, I use it more as a substantial snack, or, you know, or half of a serving actually as a pre-workout, you know, mixed with water, or as a post-workout. And it is a convenient backup option actually. I would not treat it as a complete meal though. You know, I like it that is gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, non-GMO, you know, is free of even stevia, preservatives, artificial flavors and sweeteners. Now, the one limitation is that the finished product is not fully certified organic. And the company says nearly 30 of these ingredients over here and many others are organically grown, but not yet certified. So I understand that certification can be actually expensive and difficult, especially for smaller farms. You know, that's it, you know. So it's still, because of the formula contains so many plant ingredients, the full certification would give me additional kind of reassurance for the product, you know, but it's still a great product. The long list of ingredients here, you know, can also make harder for, you know, to use for someone with multiple food sensitivities, potential leaky gut, and all that kind of stuff. So that's it for that cassava, okay? They have yummy flavors. Next is Truvani, okay? Truvani, right here, all right? Truvani is one I have used for a long time. It is organic, it has simple ingredients list, very few. It uses pea protein, pumpkin seeds, you know, chia seeds, and provide 20 grams of protein per scoop. Okay, now this blend provides all 9 essential amino acids because it's coming from pea. You know, I do not need to add more powder to make it complete protein. Now the question is whether 1 scoop, you know, which is a serving, gives me an amount of leucine that I want for muscle focus serving. So Truvani does not publish the exact leucine amount, but I can look into base some of the published, you know, range for pea protein. 1 scoop is likely to provide roughly 1.3 grams of leucine. That means we would need about, you know, 2 scoops over here to get about 2.5 grams, which is my favorite amount for protein synthesis. And obviously this is only an estimate because the company does not disclose the exact amino acid data. But I also can use this, and I do often, is that a serving or so for taste and to combine with other protein-rich foods rather than, you know, simply adding more powder, okay? So that's it for Truvani. So next over here, we're gonna look into Sunwarrior, okay? This is it, they have several products. So Sunwarrior Active protein over here, it's one of the more muscle-focused plant-based proteins. It is organic, provides 30 grams per full serving. It discloses all the protein amino acids right here, okay? And it has about 2.5 grams of leucine. Yay! I keep it on flavor, version of this because I can add it to recipes like pancakes, muffins, oatmeals, or whatever, you know, and without forcing a flavor, you know, on everything, which sometimes chocolate vanilla does not go well, okay? Just saying. Next is this. I like this. One of my favorites too is Garden of Life Sport. I also provide all the details, okay, right here. 30 grams of protein, well-disclosed amino acid profile, has also 2.5 grams of leucine per serving. And for me, that transparency matters. I'm not only looking, at the number, but also the front of the container, or I don't look at that number only, or just the front of the container, right? I want to understand the quality and the composition, behind the number. And I recommend you do the same, all right? So next one over here is Equip, okay, from Prime. And Equip has probably now become one of my favorites for taste, simplicity, and convenience. This is a grass-fed, okay, beef isolate protein that is dairy-free, whey-free, soy-free, gluten-free, and made with a very short list of ingredients. So I like the chocolate, and I also have the salted caramel. Those are the two flavors I've tried, and I like them both. It gives me an animal-derived option without dairy and whey. And the label does not provide the same detailed amino acid breakdown as the other couple formulas that I mentioned. So I do not present this as the most transparent leucine option. I choose it because I enjoy it, I tolerate it, and I can use it consistently when I need it. And I think the company says that it's about 1 gram of leucine. So that's it. All right. So next one over here, and last, finally, is the ON Master Blend. Okay. And that is kind of a different type of product. It provides 21 grams of plant protein, says that it's 3.7 grams of BCAAs, again, mushrooms, ashwagandha. It does not disclose the amino acid profile, or the individual amount for each mushroom either. But I use this for variety and for the additional functional ingredients, not because it gives me the most precise amino acid information. Mushrooms and adaptogens may be useful for some people. I think that for a lot of us, but they are active ingredients. More ingredients do not automatically make a product better for everyone. Right? So I also want to clarify something about whey, because you've been hearing me say whey, dairy-free, and all that. I'm not against whey protein. Whey naturally has a strong essential amino acid and leucine profile. There's no question, and it's extremely bioavailable. I personally tend to choose dairy-free options because they fit my body and my preferences better. Now, whether I would recommend whey, it depends on the individual, including the food sensitivities, the allergies, the gut health, the symptoms, and the personal goals. Their age too, their gender. So a big takeaway is not that there is no single perfect protein powder for everyone. I rotate products because they serve different purposes and give me different flavors and ways to use them. And part of it is part of my job as well, to have this stuff around because people need them. I use, like I said, to fill in gaps, not to replace food first diet. Now that I look for a purpose, for the ingredients, for the amino acid profile, for the leucine content, digestion. There's a lot of stuff to consider, right? So the best protein powder is not necessarily the one with the fanciest label. It is the one that fits your needs, agrees with your body, and helps you follow through consistently. Okay? So protein powder is only one small piece of the health puzzle. Tiny, tiny little one. The best choice depends on many factors. So helping clients connect those pieces is what I do. So they can stop guessing and focus on feeling and performing their best. And if you need that kind of personalized support, comment below, my friend, or send me a DM and let's connect. Coach Maria here from BFABBU.